Successful and thriving communities are a blend of good, sound government and supported by faith-based organizations, charitable organizations, philanthropy, and other community support. Joining me today are Commissioner John Hall,
good to be here,
Captain Goreck from the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and Michelle Robare, who is the founder of one of Commissioner Hall's favorite charitable partnerships.
Absolutely, K9s for Cops. You know, I don't know how Michelle got involved in that initially, but I know that she has done great work there over a large number of years, and I think responsible for 19
19 dogs so far.
Dogs so far for law enforcement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how did K9 for Cops start?
Well, K9s for Cops is a charitable partnership between the Polk County Sheriff's Office and the estates at Carpenters. It was kind of the brainchild of some of our employees that were getting together, trying to find more ways to get involved in the community through the estates. And so it just came to be out of some conversation, and we struggled to find how do we want to do this, because the initial thing was we want to buy dogs for the Sheriff's Office. So how do you go about doing that? So we have an annual fundraiser every year. It's called An Evening with the Stars, and everybody wants to know who the stars are. Well, if you look at the sheriff's badge, it's a star. So the stars are the sheriffs and the K9s. So that's the big thing at our event. We just had this year's event. We think we raised around $25,000, but each year it's between 20 and 25. And we just have tremendous partnerships with organizations in the community that sponsor the event. And like you said, we've had 19 dogs purchased so far, and they're looking to need 4 more next year. And right now those dogs cost about $10,000.
Ouch.
So we have had, this year, we've had 3 donors that have just donated large sums of money through K9s for Cops. So we're ready for them to, when they have that need, to just go shopping. And that's what makes it easy for them, is they just call and say, you know, these dogs are going to have to be retired. We check the accounts and tell them we have this much money, so go have fun. And so it just really kind of makes things faster and easier for them.
Yep.
Michelle, you said you had 3 large donors that donated, and it wasn't on the night with
No.
the stars. So how could a person, if I wanted to donate funds to K9s for Cops right now, how could I go about doing that?
Well, we have a website. It's K9s4Cops, polkcounty.com. You can go on there. You can give me a call on my cell phone, 863-370-9172, and we can work out the logistics of the donation. So we were very excited to get those phone calls last year. We've had some tremendous partnerships with some other companies or groups in the community that have said, we have this fundraiser that we do every year, and we donate back to a community group. And we've had 4 groups that contacted us this year saying, we want it to be K9s for Cops.
Nice.
So that's really something, whenever you're not just reaching out to the community, but community members are reaching out to you as well. So we've been very blessed.
Captain Goreck, members of the public see a deputy with a K9, but they don't. Sometimes they don't know just what kinds of jobs a K9 unit would do. Could you explain some of that for us?
Sure, not a problem. Not only am I the commander over the K9 unit for the Sheriff's Office, but I had the privilege of being a K9 handler for nearly a decade. So I can speak firsthand to what it entails. First, any deputy sheriff that wants to become a K9 handler has to show their dedication to the position, because it is a full-time position. It's not like where you get to go home and you know, take off the uniform and be done with it, because your best friend comes home with you. You know, you take them to work, they come home with you, they become part of the family. So we have a stringent interview process as well as a physical agility test. And then we have to make sure that you know, they can bond with the dog. You know, we have to make sure they have the right personality. And then the other part of that team, of course, is the dog. A lot of people say, well, can't you just go to the pound and get a dog? Maybe, but not often, because we sometimes, even with the vendors we go to, we may go through 10 or 20 dogs before we find the right dog for the position. They come from, you know, we look at their medical history, we look at their lineage, and their sustainability for the job. So that's why these dogs are so expensive, and they run about $10,000, is because it's like a car. You can get a cheap car, but you're going to be paying on the back end. We get these dogs from reputable breeders that have a high reputation, so that we can marry the highly trained deputy with the highly trained canine, and we can have a successful team for many years, hopefully for the citizens of Polk County. As far as the jobs they do, every one of our patrol dogs, and we have 20 of them. We have 20 canine teams at the sheriff's office that do strictly patrol work. Have a dog that can not only go out and find bad guys, apprehend them if they force us to use the dog to apprehend them if they don't give up like we want them to. We want them to give up every time, but if they run or they hide or they try to hurt one of our deputies, the dogs are there to catch them and protect them, to save the deputy from themselves having to get hurt. As much as we like to, make sure the dogs don't get hurt, they are here to save their human counterparts, if it comes to that situation. They also are used for tracking. We have the same dogs go out and they track missing people. They go out and track the missing kids. They track the escaped prisoners. And then they also have a second function, which we call their detector work. And some of our dogs are trained in explosives detection. So they check the courthouse and the BOCC building every day, and then if somebody calls in a bomb threat, they're called out to determine if they detect the odor of any type of explosive substance. And then we also have dogs that are trained in narcotics. So they train to search out for those illegal narcotics that people may be transporting and hurting our kids and hurting our family members, by spreading that poison out there in the community.
Now, Commissioner Hall, I think you'll agree that Polk County has a very unique relationship with our law enforcement agency. We're known for Sheriff Judd and the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I think we all feel that this agency is different, that the deputies are approachable, they feel like they're part of the community. How do you think that happens?
Well, I think it's just come over the years with Sheriff Judd and his predecessor, Sheriff Crow, and it's an attitude of service from everything that I can gather from our deputies, and I stop and talk to them if I see one in a restaurant. I'll stop and tell them, thank you for your service, because they're putting their lives on the line for us on a daily basis, or have the potential to put their lives on the line. So I think that it is our community that recognizes that. I think it's a top-down attitude from the sheriff's office. The captain here has some a large role to play in how the people that work for him interact with the public. I think that the commission, we are very supportive of all of our emergency services, but especially our law enforcement. So I think that it's just something that has come over the years with an understanding of what they do for us. But I have a question for the captain.
Yeah.
We see the K9s, and if you walk past one of the vehicles out in the parking lot, that K9's going to let you know that they're there.
That's true.
Okay, so are you ever worried about that dog not being under control at home with small children or other family members? If a child gets up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, what does the dog do? How does the dog react?
Well, I too can speak from experience. Whenever I got into the K9 unit, it was just my wife and I. And while I was going through K9 school, she became pregnant, and my children grew up with my K9s. And I can tell you that, and that's another reason these dogs cost so much, is that we look for dogs that have what we call dual personality. When they're at work, they're at work. When they're at home, they're at home. And it's like flipping a light switch. And I can tell you, from the day that my son was born and he was in his crib, if my work dog, was inside the house on his off time, just like I was in the house on the off time, if the baby cried, he'd go in there, he'd check it out, but he was more protective of that baby than he was of me sometimes, especially at house, because he knew that child was important to me. So to answer your question, I had no fears that something was going to happen, because I took the proper steps. I introduced the dog to my family, and he became part of the family as well. Now, he was not a pet. They become a pet once they retire. They're still a work dog, but he is part of the family. He's part of the work family at the sheriff's office, and he's part of my family at home, and I think that helps make them more sociable. is when we introduce that dynamic. We let them know that there's work time, and we let them know there's off time. And I think that, like I said, I never had any worries with my kids getting up or taking them out to let them use the restroom, or even if the days that I got busy and they went to go feed them to try to help me out or something, I had no worries.
What are some of the breeds that the Polk County Sheriff's Office has?
Well, currently we have German Shepherds. Then we have a variation of the German Shepherd called Dutch Shepherds. They're a little stockier, but they're still along the same lines. You would mistake them for a German Shepherd sometimes. We have short-haired pointers, we have Labrador Retrievers, and we have Bloodhounds.
Wow. And they all do different jobs?
Yes, ma'am. Our Bloodhounds are primarily for tracking. So if we have a missing person or somebody where maybe they're have a lesser charge that's not violent, they haven't offered any violence, but they're still hiding from us, then we may utilize the Bloodhound, because the Bloodhound has many facets. They are bred, their one sole job is to track people and locate people, locate prey. You know, that's where that goes back to the 13th century. And you know, they are an excellent tool for that. Labrador Retrievers and short-haired pointers, we use those mostly for detector work. So for explosives or narcotics, you'll see those, we call them single-purpose dogs. So they only have one job, that's to go and locate a substance. And then our German Shepherds and Dutch Shepherds are pretty much for patrol work and then some type of detector specialty.
So Michelle, please let's take another minute to let people know how they can contribute if they want to K9 for Cops.
Of course. My phone number, again, is 863-370-9172. You can call me anytime. If you want to donate, if you want to sponsor, if you want to hold a fundraising event to donate to K9s for Cops, or even if you're looking for a speaker for some type of meeting, we do those as well. And we'll usually have one of the K9 teams join us out there. So the groups that we've spoken to really enjoy that. But you can do that. You can go on our website, K9s4Cops, polkcounty.com. And we have a Facebook page as well. Same thing, K9s for Cops, Polk County. And we're starting an Instagram. It's live right now, but there are not any posts. So we will be working on next year's event. And when we get those details, we'll start posting that on Instagram. So you can reach us all kinds of ways.
I have another question for the captain.
All right.
When you turn your dog off of a leash, and you've been a handler, and so you've got to let the dog go, and you've got to apprehend a bad guy. You've got to be in really good shape if you're going to be able to keep up with that dog.
Yes.
So say the dog outruns you. What gives the public out here an idea that that is a law enforcement dog? Do they wear a badge? I mean, you guys wear badges and you carry guns. What gives our public an idea that that dog is actually a law enforcement dog?
Our dogs have collars that say Polk County Sheriff's Office, and depending on what function they're performing, they also have harnesses that have sheriff on them, and some of them have badges, and so there's markers on them to let them know this is not just a stray dog running around. You know, we try to clearly identify them for many purposes, not only for the public, but also so that when you know, even suspects see them coming, they can't say, "Well, I didn't know that was a police dog," even though we give many warnings and let them know, listen, the dog's coming. We even say, listen, if the dog finds you, he's going to bite you. You know, please give up. The last thing we want to do is apprehend somebody through the use of a canine. But you know, we give them every opportunity. But the dogs are marked. I mean, we have collars on them. We can't put too much on them because they have a fur suit.
Sure.
So especially in the Florida heat, they're going to be they're going to be worn out from the heat. But they do have markings on them to let them know that they are a sheriff's office dog.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really interesting. Thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for allowing us to shoot in your training facility.
No problem. And again, before we end, I just want to say that as a representative of the K9 unit as well as the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Judd, the senior staff, the County Commission, we can't do this without our community partners. We have many out there, and you make it much easier. Like you said, we have, before the end of the year, we have 4 K9s that we're going to have to replace due to retirements. Both of the handlers as well as the dogs, because eventually the dogs reach an age where they're going to have to retire, and we try not to run the dogs into the ground. Just like you, when you're done with a long career, you want to have a little life afterwards to enjoy it. We try to do the same thing for the dogs. So like I said, we're going to have to replace 4, and community partnerships such as K9 with Cops and the people who donate make that possible. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for all you do. Being out there on the front lines, protecting the community. We're glad we can be a part of that. The estates looks for ways to do things for the community, and supporting the sheriff's office is a fantastic group for us. So we're very excited about the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Commissioner's Report.